Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the Radio Toons podcast. How's it going?
It's going great, Steve.
Thanks, Ernie. I'm Steve.
I'm Ernie.
Hey, Ernie, guess what?
What?
Macaulay Culkin is back in our lives.
Dude, Macaulay Culks?
Yeah, all of a sudden, he thinks he can just swoop on in here and steal our hearts once again.
You know what it is?
What?
It's because it's the holidays.
I guess so, but I feel like there wasn't this much Macaulay Culkin in the media last year.
No, there wasn't.
But anyway, he did if you guys haven't seen it, it might have come out today. I don't know when it came out. The commercial,
Well, it's number one on trending, so that's probably a good bet.
Yeah, it's the number one trending thing on YouTube right now. He did like a recreation basically of like Home Alone, and it was like, what if Kevin Mcallister was older, and it's him with a Google Home, and he's like, hey, Google Home, do this, and do this, but same things from the movie, but he's older now, which is cool if that's what you like.
I will say that the cinematography in it is very impressive.
Yeah, it was really well done, actually.
They got the same house. It seems like they got all of the same rooms and everything.
Yeah, like, I feel like there were some shots where I was like, oh, they probably just, like, when he was looking outward, it was just, like, a shot of the movie, basically.
Right.
And they could just fake that,
Of course.
And then, like, the part was, like, at the end, it's, like, they obviously didn't get Joe Pesci and...
Of course not, dude.
But, like,
they're not going to get Marvin
They got, like, the scene from the movie or, like, maybe some lookalikes to be in there, and... Yeah.
Well, they did get the van correct, because it was called OK Plumbing.
Oh, that was from the movie.
So, that's from the Wet Bandit stuff, but, like... They just took a clip of the movie, like the sound bite of him going, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely just ripped that off the movie.
You know what's crazy, too? So the pizza guy had all the Little Nero's pizza stuff on.
Yeah.
And apparently, a while back, I want to say a few months ago, some clothing company got the rights to everything Home Alone.
Really?
Including, like, Little Nero's Pizza, right?
Oh, man, they're going to make a ton of money.
Well, I don't know about a ton of money, but they produced the jacket. So if you go to their, like, it might be sold out, maybe, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying, like, dude, it's a niche thing totally.
Uh-huh.
But if you just make enough that, like, it will sell out, oh my gosh, people will be buying that thing all year.
Yeah, maybe, like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's definitely not like the newspaper from Back to the Future.
No.
That definitely fucking sold out everywhere. Or, like, the shoes, or, like, Crystal Pepsi. Remember the Crystal Pepsi that came out?
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, but they milked the shit out of that movie. Well, anyway, from Rocco from Mega 64 had the jacket on during one of the podcasts, and I was like, oh.
Of course he did.
Yeah, he told him.
Rocco just spends his shit on, like...
He spends money on whatever the fuck he wants.
Oh my gosh, okay. Total, like, I'm sorry to sidetrack this whole thing, but... So Rocco has, like, the Mega 64 stuff, but he also has his own videos, right?
Yeah.
And in his own videos, I don't know if you know this. Well, you probably do, but maybe the audience does. He reviews all sorts of things, but, like, on the fly. So he'll just set up his phone or whatever on the side and just kind of sit on it. And he's like, so today I'm going to be reviewing these Power Ranger toy gadgets from the thing.
Well, those specifically are called... Those are called figure updates. So he'll just like it's just basically everything he bought for the whole month, and he buys a ton of toys.
He buys so much.
He buys a lot of toys and figures like every month. So.
And when I initially clicked on it, I thought, oh, this will be like a 30 minute, maybe 20-minute thing. It's like an hour something, dude, of him just being like, so this is the transformation module from the Power Rangers Lightspeed Saga. Here it is. Here's what I like about it. I was like, dude, what?
Yeah, he loves that shit, dude.
So does it surprise me that he has a Little Nero's jacket?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Not at all.
Yeah, he also has, like, these toys, like, that toy company, NECA, made, like, they made, like, realistic, I forget what their names are, Marv and whatever.
Marv and Harry?
Yeah, and then, like, Macaulay Culkin or whatever. But, like, their clothes were, like, real. And they were like...
Oh my gosh, oh yes.
So they're just like action figures, but their clothes is like real material, and So I was like...
Why would you buy it?
I don't know, I mean,
let me just be honest, Home Alone's a great movie, but I don't know if I'm buying... I'm not buying a fucking...
Well, that's...
Kevin Mcallister action figure.
Well, yeah, back to what we were talking about, do you really want the Little Nero's jacket? Because I kind of don't.
If it was available, like, if I ran across it, I'm not I can't say 100% that I wouldn't.
The color scheme's pretty hideous. It's like
it's all red, white, and green.
Yeah, but the actual jacket's like all white.
Yeah,
and the logo is not the best. Like,
oh, it's terrible. It looks almost like the Little Caesars one, the OG
but
one.
Worse.
Okay, but worse.
Yeah, and it's apparently it's their slogan is "No fiddling around," because apparently what Little Nero did in that story that they're referencing, perhaps a Divine Comedy, I'm not sure, but he fiddled. He was playing the fiddle or something while this city was being destroyed or something. So there you go. A little more information than you wanted.
Wow.
But yeah, so
fiddling around.
Yeah, he also did a video, Macaulay Culkin. He also did a video with the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Oh boy!
So I don't know.
Is he making his rounds on YouTube?
I don't know what he's doing, man. He's just like
he's probably just having fun, man. That kid. I know he doesn't have tons of money, but he's got money.
He's 38. He's not a kid anymore. But you know what's funny? I was like, you imagine if like TMZ like caught wind of that and was just like, Macaulay Culkin on YouTube? Or like...
No, they're never going to do it.
They might, I don't know, because they talk about everything on
YouTube and broadcast TVs don't seem to mix very well.
Okay.
You know, like not that, like, they'll report that people on YouTube are making fuck tons of money, you know, all that stuff. That they'll report on, but like, when two people cross, like, when somebody has, like, a guest star on their show or something, they never report on it. They don't care about that crap.
Well, they do actually report a lot on like viral videos and crap. They will always, They will always play that show on the news because there is times where I see it on the news first. Like that's the first place I saw it, just because it's like.
And here's the latest Fortnite dance.
Yeah,
and then the three like the news hosts will be trying to do the Fortnite dance, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Tonight at 11, Backpack Kid is suing Fortnite.
Oh my god!
Details at 11.
Stop with that. That's so dumb. Can you really copyright a dance? That's so dumb.
Let's not get into this. I was just going to say, Macaulay Culkin playing the shitty games that suck ass at 11.
Oh my god.
Sorry, that's it.
Is he playing?
That's it.
So really quick.
Yeah.
Not to get too far into that, but aside from, you know, the Bethesda Home Alone, right? The original NES. I think the original NES was done by Bethesda.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because JonTron did a video of all the Home Alone games, and I think he said one of them was done by Bethesda.
Oh, okay.
So that one, there's one on the Super Nintendo, one on the Sega Genesis. Then there's Home Alone 2.
What the fuck did you just say?
That's how I say 2.
Okay.
That's them in the hotel and crap. Besides those. Which ones are there?
Home Alone was one of those games that got ported to every single console.
Right.
So it would have like an NES, Game Boy, Super NES, Sega, and then like something else. So in that video, AVGN just goes through the ones that he didn't play because why would he?
Right.
But in this video, it's very.
Did he play the one on PS2?
They mention it, but I think he plays that one in his other video.
What other video?
Because he has a Home Alone games video, right?
Right.
So I think he played it in that one because they just mentioned it. And they're like, it's fucking stupid or something. I don't know.
Because I remember JonTron playing it.
Yeah, sure, maybe. I don't know.
Because JonTron did his own Macaulay Culkin one, but he did it with just a picture of Macaulay Culkin.
I'm sure you could get Macaulay Culkin now. That's next on the list. Yeah, that's next on the list. Dude.
You got the Flex Seal guy, so.
And then they did a James and Mike Mondays.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Where he was just sitting there, which was a lot better, I would say, than the video. Because no offense to the video, but like in the Let's Play style, he was a little more relaxed and he was just talking about stuff. And
what did they ask him?
They were asking him about the Page Master because they were playing the Page Master.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "So you didn't get a copy of this game when you were a kid?" And he's like, "No, everything I just found on shelves. Like they didn't send me any games or like." He was like, I would literally just be in the store and I'd be like, that's me, I want a game, that's not a game, I want a game, I want to play that game. And I was like, oh, that's funny.
It's a terrible game, too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely. That's the other thing, too. He was just like, maybe they're just saving me from horrible whatever.
Yeah, that they're probably doing. But Macaulay Culkin's making the rounds.
But that was pretty interesting, too. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I predict I will be seeing him in the next 3 weeks on, like, 5 other channels.
Maybe, yeah, because he was on.
He's gonna be on the Gaming Historian.
Red Letter Media.
He's gonna be on Red Letter Media.
Just on channels that has nothing to do with him too. Yeah,
exactly.
But what I was gonna say too is, it's kind of a side note, but James and Mike sometimes do other videos, right? Mike and Ryan, so these other guys, well, it's still Mike and Tate, but they did the reviews of these arcade 1-up like machines, and they're essentially like half-size cabinets. Did you see these? Mm-hmm. I think we saw them during Black Friday.
Oh, they sit on top of your desk.
No, no. They're just like maybe like 5 feet smaller than a regular cabinet.
Okay.
And they come in a flat box, and you have to assemble it yourself. And it comes preloaded with a certain amount of games. You haven't seen these then?
No.
Well, anyway,
you know what? I think our sister mentioned these things, but I never actually got to see them.
Yeah, so I was really interested in them. Just because it's like, okay, first of all, I have an arcade machine, right, that plays Street Fighter, so I don't really...
Right.
But I was like, if they have like a cool, like, cute collectible version of it, yes, I want it, you know, because, like, whatever, I'm a dumbass, whatever you want to say. And he was going through them, and he was just like, yeah, they're okay. Some of them are better than others. He's like, Centipede, the trackball isn't like too good because it's like, I guess it's hard to make that with cheap parts. You need the real thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he was saying like the Street Fighter one's pretty cool because it has like the original art, and it says Champion Edition, but it has Champion Edition and it has Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like the one that has all the characters and shit. So it's like if you're looking for like, you know, the better version, it's on there. It's not just Street Fighter 2 Champion. But I was like, oh, that's cool. And they're only like $300. I think they're $200 right now on Walmart.
Wow, that's actually very cheap for an arcade machine.
And they look awesome. Like honestly, I think they're more of a showpiece than they are like a playable thing. Because he was saying like the guy that bought them, because that guy Ryan, he bought all 5 of them, and he took them to a convention because he runs conventions, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he was saying, like, they beat the hell out of them, and he brought them home, and some of them were broken, but it's like, it's at a convention, so, like...
Yeah, people tend to be shitty to things at conventions.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, so, you know, they're not built to last, I guess, or they're not, like, super heavy-duty, like regular arcade machines.
Well, they're probably just... Yeah, they're not built for, like, commercialized use or whatever.
Yeah, so like I was saying, it's like, oh, they're more of a showpiece. And I do agree, it's like, that would be pretty cool. If you just had one, like, if you had the space for, like, a tiny little cabinet in the side of your fucking desk or, like, office or something, that's cool. That's cool to me. I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. They're pretty
your
cheap.
Holiday 2018 gift ideas.
Yeah, here's your holiday gift list. Radio Toons holiday gift items list to watch out for.
2018.
For a second, I was like, is it 2019? No, not yet. Okay.
2018. When did Todd and Aaron come out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Have they done their yearly tweet?
I don't think
like we've killed off these characters.
Oh, I don't think so. No. But yeah, I was gonna mention something else. Oh yeah. Not also unrelated, but I was talking about smaller collectible types. Mm-hmm. The PlayStation 1 Classic is now down to $70 on Amazon. So
they dropped the price?
Yeah, so I'm just waiting. I'm biding my time. I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm just like, it's going to be mine, baby. It's going to be mine.
They dropped the price on it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'm just waiting for that bad boy to go down to, like, $50.
50 bones?
$50, and I'm fucking in there, dude. I'm just like, yes. I'm gonna scoop that over.
Here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because, like, Nintendo fans and Super Nintendo fans, they got these 2 consoles. Uh-huh. They sold out like crazy, and now, like,
they're everywhere now.
Restocked. You can get them anywhere.
You can get them anywhere.
Fine. Why do you think the PlayStation 1, like, for PlayStation fans, because for a lot of people, PlayStation was their very first console.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we know the answer to that. The games on it were not good.
Right, but wasn't that thing like wasn't it exactly like the NES and Super NES where you could like jailbreak it?
You can hack it, but the thing is that PlayStation games are a lot bigger than NES and Super Nintendo ROMs. Oh, and there wasn't a lot of storage on it apparently, and people were just like, you can't. You could. I'm not sure exactly how much, but they were just like, you're gonna erase games on there and put games on there. It's not like it's not like the.
Oh, actually,
it's not like NES Classic where you just throw everything on because it fits on like an SD card, you know, like. But yeah.
Actually, you know what?
What?
Probably led to. You told me, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, that all the ROM sites have like totally taken down all their ROMs.
Oh yeah, there's a good amount of them that they just
went
how
offline.
do I say, they flew the coop
Yeah.
They just ran.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo is like suing the guy that made one of those sites. Him and his wife are now charged with like a $2 million fucking fine or something.
Dang, dude.
Yeah. So I think like a lot of those people went offline. I mean, there's still ways to get them. It's just you have to be a little sneakier now. Like you can't just
download LimeWire.
Yeah. But again, LimeWire, and if it downloads really fast, it's a good sign. You're gonna want to click it.
You want to seed it.
You're gonna want to go to the site, get the free iPod that's listed on there. No, but seriously, it you can't just type in like NES ROMs into Google anymore and just find it. You're probably gonna have to search through some forums or. I remember a while back too. Like I believe I got some from a torrent, just like a bunch of them in torrent form.
Actually, when I first hacked the NES Classic, when you got the program from that guy, he had a separate mirror link that had like a bunch of the games. He's like, these are the ones that I have personally. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm just making them available to people.
No, that's cool.
And then you were able to just download them as a zip. But
cool.
yeah.
So yeah,
that's cool.
That PS1 Classic,
dude, go get it. You know what I mean, guys? Get Jumpin' Flash. Get Siphon Filter. Get.
I know you're making fun of it right now, but I want that thing. I want it for a low price.
You want it for $50.
Yeah, I want it for a low price.
Play some Crash Team Racing. Oh wait, no, that's coming out on Switch.
It's something about like getting a good deal. You know.
Yeah.
Like as well as getting a good item. So. Like to me, it's almost like I got the deal. I don't give a shit about the item. I'm gonna buy that shit for $50, throw it in the trash.
You know what we're gonna do?
What?
If you get that thing, we're gonna play Tenchu Stealth Assassin. That's what we're gonna play.
I would have to hack it to get that.
Well, it takes 2 seconds to hack, dude. Come on,
maybe
play that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should play it on the show just to see, just to show it off and everything.
Just to see how well it runs. Because if it's an emulation on like essentially a Raspberry Pi, it probably runs pretty good. Because you don't need a lot of power, you know what I mean?
He was funny. Rocco from Mega
We talk a lot about Mega 64 on this podcast.
Yeah, sorry. They're funny guys. He always complains about how everybody was like, oh, it's just, why do you want the NES Classic? Just get a Raspberry Pi and preload it with games and all this stuff, right?
Yes, that's why we want it.
I was expecting to see something like that when the PlayStation Classic came out. Nah. It was just like, nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
It's so sad because I feel like PlayStation Classic had its heyday, and I feel like obviously PlayStation 2 is.
You mean regular PlayStation?
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's heyday. You know, I enjoyed playing that, but there's not too many games that are just like for that system that haven't already been remade. You know what I mean?
If I do get it, I will probably run through Final Fantasy VII, just because I love that game.
It's a good.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sony.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Guys.
We saw a movie,
dude,
that's made by Sony.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just like.
See, did you hear that? I was glitching out.
Yeah, there you go. Nice effect. We saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. It's the multiverse Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I was just
so like I kept confusing it.
I just went up to the ticket booth and I was like, I want to see fucking Spider-Man. Give me 2 tickets for Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. We're gonna see some Gwen. We're gonna see some Peter. Some Miles Morales, dude.
Let me just tell you right now. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you should be fucking ecstatic to be alive right now, dude. Because you just got Marvel Spider-Man, the game on Sony PlayStation, and now you're getting the Sony Pictures ImageWorks movie, dude, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
And then you're getting Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, yeah.
Beginning of next year.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
Dude, if you're Spider-Man, if you're our Spider-Man.
You're Spider-Man? According to the movie, we're all Spider-Mans.
Yeah, there you go. Spoilers. Whoa.
Whoa.
Spoilers.
So can I do the synopsis? Can I do the rundown really quick?
Sure.
Okay, so there might be some spoilers in here.
There's gonna be a lot, dude. Are you fucking
Are we just
joking?
doing a spoil fest?
I'm gonna fucking...
Alright.
Yeah, blow my spider load right now.
So essentially, you get from the name that all these Spider-Mans from different multiverses come together.
Correct.
The way that this is built, though, this is starting from the Miles Morales universe. Mm-hmm. So if you're not familiar with Miles Morales, his intro or his origin story is basically there's always been a Spider-Man. and then he gets bit by a radioactive spider. The current Spider-Man dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, spoilers. And then he's supposed to take over, right? That's his storyline. Uh-huh. Also, Miles has invisibility powers, and he's got electrical shock powers.
Which I didn't know, by the way.
Yeah. But he doesn't have web, like, ball things in his hands. He actually has the little crafted, Spider-Man.
None of them can shoot web. That would be ridiculous.
No. But in this iteration of the movie, the incident where Peter dies is triggered is happening because Kingpin is trying to open up a multiverse so he can get his kid and his wife back, Vanessa and his son back. But he ends up first of all, the whole thing explodes, and the original Peter Parker gets killed in the explosion, and then it injures him, and then Kingpin finishes him off. But because of that, it pulls in 5 other Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Or apparently, Spider people.
Well,
I don't know how you call it.
That has happened over multiple times because Gwen is there already or something.
No. So the way it was explained in the movie is Gwen got there a week before everybody else. Everybody else got there at different times, but she was the earliest one.
Yeah, so he must have been running that machine on like tests or something, right?
Possibly, but
the spider that bites Miles is also flickering like it's
it's from 40. Like they kept in the movie, you'll see the number 42 happen a lot. I'm not too familiar with Miles Morales other than his intro and a bit of how like the transition happened, but 42 seems to be a big deal in that universe. Essentially, when the rip happened, it sent them through, right? But I'm not sure whether that made them go back in time or forward in time, because technically the Spider-Man Noir, which is voiced by Nicolas Cage, I believe,
yeah, he
is from 1962 or 1950s or something like that. He's way back in the day.
Probably the 40s or something.
40s or something. Yeah, so technically he went forward in time. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that incident went back a week.
Well, yeah, because Penny is like from the year 3000.
Yeah, she's from really, really far in the future.
I forgot what year she said. Yeah, but so yeah, is that the end of the synopsis?
The synopsis is basically they all come together and then they realize that they can't stay in that multiverse because they start glitching out, kind of like what I was doing earlier.
Yeah,
just glitching out.
I heard that.
So to stabilize the whole thing and to save the world, because Kingpin's trying on that machine again, it's gonna fuck everything up.
Yeah,
they all have to come together and save the world, and get back home.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about my theater experience real fast. Okay?
Oh. These are never good.
No, these are good.
We need to have like a little musical intro. It's like Steve's theater experience.
That's pretty good. I like that. But no, actually, to my delight. Okay, so I always go to see movies with my friend John.
Okay.
And he always manages to get us there late because he always has to buy food before we get there. And we also stopped by Starbucks, so I had a big ass thing of coffee. Completely forgot you couldn't go to a movie theater with drinks, right? So he has like a fucking burrito and a crunch wrap in his jacket. And
he's walking your
and I'm you probably smell it. And I'm sitting there standing there at the ticket thing with a cup of coffee, and I'm like, fuck, all right, so I'm just gonna stand off to the side. Like before they actually let you in the theater, you know how you're in the building, but
yeah.
So I'm gonna stand off to the side. I'm gonna drink my coffee, and the guy looks at me and he's just like, "Is that just coffee?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're good, dude. Just go." And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Can I pause right here?
Yeah, sure.
Why did he say, "Is that just coffee"?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did he think? Is that vodka with rum in it, or you got some rum in that coffee?
I don't I'm just repeating.
Just coffee. Dude.
I'm repeating to you what he said verbatim. I don't know if he was like.
Oh my.
Yeah, like if I had alcohol, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, you got me, dude. It's got a little bit."
Got me. This is just pure.
It's
just pure tequila.
It is pure black tar heroin, just in a cup. I'm sorry, you got me. No.
All right, so you made it in with your big cup of coffee.
He let me go in with a cup of coffee.
That's actually pretty nice of him.
So we get there, and we sit in our seats. We look at the little map on AMC.com or whatever to see what seats have been filled. and then we could leave a space between us too. So like we get like basically the end of the row.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like badass. Like nobody bought those tickets. We're fucking in here. And I gotta say, we went at 11 a.m. That theater was fucking packed for 11 a.m. Dude.
Really?
Yeah,
that's kind of surprising.
There was a lot of people in there. Yeah,
lots of kids.
Yeah, there was. And that was another thing too. I was like, movie I thought was pretty long. It was like 2 hours, I think.
I think it's an hour and like 17 minutes, or like 117 minutes. Sorry. So I think that's an hour and a half or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's almost like 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so we're in there enjoying the movie, and there's this little kid like 2 rows down from us. He's not even making noise, but he's just standing up, watching the whole fucking movie. He's standing up, like looking at the screen. There's a scene where like Miles is like punching somebody, and he's swinging his arms, like he's swinging his arm like a little, like a little spider kid, and I'm like, they made this movie for you, kid. It's all for you. That's why they did this.
You're the future.
Yeah, you're the future, kid. But no, so yeah, I had a really great theater experience. All that, like, that was my morning. I got to wake up and I got to drink coffee.
So it's 11 a.m. You're watching a movie.
Yeah, drinking.
Got your coffee.
Starbucks coffee.
Nice.
Yeah, in those little recliner seats too. They have really nice recliner seats at AMC now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
But yeah, so anyway, back to the movie.
Okay.
What did you think, Ernie, of Spider-Man?
I really, really loved it. I loved everything from the storyline, which I thought was going to be very difficult to pull off, and I was very pleasantly surprised. All the way down to the music and the art style, the comedy in it, like everything. I was so surprised by all of it. Yeah. And I don't know if it was the fact that it's Sony, so I didn't expect much. Let's say that.
Yeah, I know, because what was crazy is that like people were pointing out like these people worked on the Emoji Movie, like and like a lot of people were saying like, well, yeah, don't let the studio direct the fucking movie and look what happens. Like you let the artists and the actual like directors direct the movie, and you get something like this, which is insane. Like,
oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how good this was.
I heard like a year of development of the film was just trying to get 10 seconds to look like stylistically good.
Wow.
So they spent a whole year trying out different styles and layering different things on top of each other to make the movie look.
I think the goal, and they obviously succeeded, was to make everything look like it could be a comic book panel. Yeah. Because the motif of the comic over the entire movie is, it's completely apparent. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I would suggest not waiting for this on like Blu-ray and stuff. Go see it in theaters.
No, it benefits very much from that, because the one great thing about Spider-Man, it's something I've always loved about Spider-Man, is because he swings through a city, his comics were always full of these great, like, crazy angles between buildings. Yeah. So there was a big architectural, like, motif to Spider-Man. And because of that, like, if you go in and you watch it, like, in an IMAX or something, you see, like, Peter just, like, there's this really great poster of him, like, falling up, but the world is turned upside down. Right, yeah. So, like, the buildings are on top, but technically he's falling down, but it looks like he's going up. Like, imagine seeing that on a big IMAX screen with the sound going. It's like, you feel like you're Spider-Man.
It was really great. I loved it. I really loved this movie. I had a few, like, nitpicks, a few gripes. Sure. But for the most part, I really liked Miles Morales. I think he's really cool. The way they, like, portrayed him in the movie was really good. It felt like he just was a very identifiable, like, a really relatable character, I should say. Totally. Really just, I don't know. He felt really real. Mostly because, like, we're going into spoilers. He didn't even get the suit until, like, the last fucking, like, 20 minutes. That was the best part of the movie, I thought that was so great that they didn't, like, overuse it or anything.
I love that.
Like, they really just let the character, like, grow on his own. And I was telling you, when I first saw the movie, I was like, man, like, it has, like, 5 main characters, and they fucking actually pull it off. Like,
well, because, like, they made the motif very strong in it that this is Miles' origin story. So throughout the movie, whenever you're introduced to a new Spider-Man, they have they have this little like they start the whole movie with it was like let's get through this. My name is Peter Parker, and then they throw the comic down that shows which Peter you're looking at or which whatever, and then throughout the movie as you get more, they throw another comic down. Yeah, and it says, "My name is Gwen Stacy."
Yeah, it's like let's do this one more time.
It's like one more time, one more final time, blah blah blah, and you never see Miles's because this whole story has to do with other Spider-Mans. So what you get is that everybody else's story's already been told. This is Miles. Yeah. So you don't have to really spend too much time with them. You do with Peter B. Parker. Yeah. But not with anybody else. Yeah. Because they're already like flushed out people, really. So the motif lends itself very well. So you're like, here are the facts about them. They're a whole person. You're done. Because we're trying to focus on Miles.
You want to know something random? Apparently when those Sony emails got hacked, this is just a headline. I didn't read the whole article. But according to one of those Sony emails that was like taken, there's like a thing in the Sony contract that says that if you make a Spider-Man movie, he has to be Caucasian and he has to be straight.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah, which is really weird, isn't it? Like,
well, maybe that was from Marvel because that's always been the Peter Parker that they've showed.
I don't know, but I just know it was in a Sony email, so it's very like. But I just thought that was crazy, and I was like, maybe that's why they made Miles the way that he is, because if they wanted to make Spider-Man different, they had to just make another character.
Yeah, true.
I don't know for sure, but that's just
of the 6, let's do 5? Let's do of the 5 other world Spider-Mans, not Miles. Who was your favorite?
I don't know. Naturally, I want to say Gwen because I love Gwen, but I kind of like the Noir one. He looked really cool.
Oh my god.
He was voiced by Nicolas Cage, which I didn't know until after the movie, so I wasn't really bothered by his voice.
No, he did a great job.
Yeah, he had like cool jokes, like. What does he say in his like little origin story? He's just like, sometimes I just let a matchstick burn in my hand.
So I can feel the pain. So I feel something.
So I can finally feel something. Yeah, it's like okay. So they're very like playing up the whole dark and like sad tone of his dimension.
I want a whole movie with him.
Yeah, I gotta say when Penny Parker came out, it was a bit much for me. I was very like, oh, okay, but then I was like, all right, she's just diva. Like,
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have no reference point for this, but if anybody knows that there is a live action version of Spider-Man that was here in the United States, right? But there was also one in Japan, and the one in Japan shares a lot of themes with Penny because because the Spider-Man, and if you look up the intro for the Japanese Spider-Man, it's so good.
I'm sure people
so good. Yeah. But he has a robot, but it's like a giant, Power Ranger robot. So like Penny, he has a robot. Plus he has his spider is also like telepathically linked to him.
Oh, okay, so just like Penny.
So it's just like Penny's.
Oh, that's cool.
But I don't know if they were like. I think they were trying to take some of the motif, but it's like, yeah, it's just it's very
like
close.
If it was like done a little more modern and better thought out, I guess.
But like the reason they did Penny, I think, is because she has a tiny robot as opposed to the one that could like crush the entire city. Because
it's not tiny to her.
No, obviously not. But like the one from the show had like a Megazord type of robot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it has like spider webs on it.
Yeah, I completely understand.
But if I was going to choose my favorite one out of there, it would probably be Peter B. Parker, which the B stands for Ben, doesn't it?
Probably.
Yeah, I would just assume that's what it was because he's just like. What's great is that they start the movie with like, "My name is Peter Parker," and he's like got the perfect life. Yeah, and spoilers. He's the one that dies and transfers kind of the helm of Spider-Man to Miles. Yeah, but the first Spider-Man you run into is the one where his life is a total fuck fest. Yeah, right. It's like not only is he out of shape, which everybody pokes fun at. Yeah, literally they're like poking his belly. He is divorced from Gwen. Or he's divorced from Mary Jane, and I believe his Aunt May is dead.
I'm not sure, actually.
I think I saw that in the motif.
Maybe. But I did like him a lot. I thought he was one of the best characters actually, just because it's like, all these movies try to take really they try to put a new spin on Peter Parker every time,
right?
In their own unique way. This one was like definitely like something I didn't see coming. I tried to avoid every trailer for this movie.
The trailers didn't reveal a lot of the story.
The only thing I saw was like him jumping upside down off the building. I think it was the first trailer, and then I just stopped watching shit because I was like, like immediately I was like, dude, this looks cool and this looks really different, and I want to fucking watch this, right?
Yeah.
So that was really a big surprise to me that he was like fat and he had sweats on over his spider suit.
And by the way, when we say fat, like he had a little bit of a belly.
Yeah, because there was definitely scenes where I'm like, he just looks the same, like. But he was funny, dude.
He was funny as hell.
A lot of his jokes were really great. I love that scene where that scientist lady walks into the office and he's just standing there and he's trying to look all like seductive.
Suave, and he's like, hey.
He's like, yeah. He's just like, oh, that's me. I'm Spider-Man. Yeah.
I'm Spider-Man.
How you doing? Yeah.
How you doing? I also like man. I know it's so weird, but it's something you just have to see. In the first iteration of Peter B. Parker and Miles kind of having to have a discussion about the flash drive.
Yeah.
Both of them start walking on a building.
Yeah.
In a very like casual way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like it's just the visual of that. Two Spider-Mans talking and they're just like walking down a building and then walking up a building. Because they could like stick to it. Such a great scene.
Yeah, actually, that scene that happened right before that, where he's like, he gets stuck to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to swing around, and he gets stuck to like a train and shit.
Yeah.
That scene is so awesome. Every scene where there's just like a lot of like adrenaline and momentum.
Yeah.
It just has so much energy, and I was just like immediately like, fuck, like this is so great. Like I can't believe what I'm looking at right now. It's so colorful and it's so vibrant and like. Somebody was making a note of it like on Twitter, like they were watching the trailers like frame by frame, and apparently like a lot of those scenes were animated in twos, right? So basically they kept the character on the same frame twice.
Right.
So it would be like
that's like that stuttery animation that they were going for, which really paid off.
Well, they didn't always do it, but for scenes like this they did, and it actually makes them like really like if you watch in slow motion. It really makes them stick out to the background, kind of like how a cell looks on like a watercolor background.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's probably so that they contrast the background because the first thing they teach you like when you're in color like composition is like you need to contrast the background with your foreground, so there's focus on whatever's in the foreground.
Right.
And I think they did that through this like technique, which is fucking crazy to me, like. Because the movie's obviously like loaded with colors, how do you differentiate things and how do you emphasize one thing over the other? And it's like they use this fucking technique of like twos, where like your eye kind of like just stays on this one thing that kind of looks at a place the whole time,
right.
like which is crazy to me. I was like, fuck, that's awesome. That's a really creative way to do something like that. Like I didn't, you don't even notice it, like your.
No, I mean, you and I both noticed that like more in the action scenes. And scenes where they're trying to really make you feel a sense of like this stands out for some reason. Those are when I saw the stuttering effect of that dropping frames and like keeping them on screen for like a couple frames extra. I really, really dug that.
Yeah, because you could tell like there was a lot of scenes that were just 24 frames per second because they looked just really smooth.
Right.
There's a lot of shots where like. There's one where, like, at the end where Miles jumps off a crane that I remember just looking fucking amazing. Like, it was like how well it was animated. I was like, okay, that's definitely...
scene, in the movie, Miles is being pursued by a character named Prowler.
Yeah.
Who works for the Kingpin.
He's
and there's
awesome,
this great...
I really liked how he looked.
And I liked it because they didn't really reveal a lot of his costume throughout the whole thing. He's kept pretty in shadow. But there's this great scene where Miles escapes the Prowler by like essentially causing an accident, and then Miles is able to jump through these cars and then like essentially do like a Spider-Man, I guess vault, and then like he ends up on the other side of this huge crash.
Okay.
Whatever, that whole sequence where he goes and dives through the car crash
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the scenes where they did the 24 frames.
Yeah.
Because in the slow motion, dude, it looked great.
Yeah. So I actually so like I don't know much about Miles Morales, but in the Spider-Man video game, they handle like him coming to terms with his powers and all that a little bit differently.
Okay.
So I was actually surprised in this movie to see that, spoilers, his uncle is the Prowler.
Right.
He gets shot by a cop and dies.
He gets shot in the...
Is it his dad?
What?
Is his dad the one that shoots the Prowler?
In the comic books or in this movie?
In this movie.
In this movie, Kingpin shoots the Prowler.
Oh, Kingpin. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's crazy because there's other versions of the story where Miles' dad dies.
Yeah.
And that's where he kind of gets the motivation to like, oh shit, like I gotta be Spider-Man now because somebody died, like whatever.
Which I thought was a really fun point in the movie where they're all like, when after that whole incident happens, Miles is like, you guys don't understand. He's like, Miles, we're the only people in the world who understand this. And then they go through, it's like, it was my father.
Yeah.
It was my best friend. It was this, and it was whatever. So
what's crazy though too is like Spider-Gwen's story, at least the comic books that I have, it's a little more dark than what they portrayed in this movie.
How so?
Well, first of all, she's apparently a ballerina in this movie because she has ballerina shoes. That's what she wears.
Okay.
And when she lands and stuff, she lands on her tippy toes, and she's like perfectly poised.
That's funny.
And she's very graceful, and all of her poses look really nice. And she's obviously like more experienced than Miles, basically.
Right. Well, that's obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, and she says like something like she couldn't save her best friend, which is Peter Parker.
Right.
In her comic book, Peter Parker turns into the Lizard.
Oh yeah.
Which they show in this movie. Yeah, I remember that.
They show it, but very briefly. The only reason I actually caught that was because I follow some of the artists who worked on it. And one guy had a breakdown of scene by scene where Gwen kicks the Lizard in the face. And if you see the last like 3 frames of the kick that goes and transitions into something else, it turns into Peter Parker. And then she's like, but I couldn't save my best friend. So essentially, it wasn't very apparent in the motif, but she kicks him, and then the next scene you see him on the floor dead.
She kills him.
Yeah, basically. Essentially.
Yeah, in the comic book, that's basically the... What am I trying to say? That's like her...
That's her Uncle Ben moment.
Yeah, but she's... That's her... Sorry, I can't think of the word right now. That's her burden to carry throughout the series because she's obviously really sad about it.
Right.
But she goes and she visits Aunt May and Uncle Ben from time to time, and they just talk about how much they loved Peter and stuff, and it just tears her up because she knows that she's the one that did it and all this stuff. And I haven't read it in a while, but I believe they're also like, fuck Spider-Woman because she's the one that killed him. So it's like this whole like, it's just messed up basically, right? And a little fun fact: Spider-Ham, is that what his name was?
Yeah.
He's in Spider-Gwen, and he appears as a figment of her imagination.
Oh, really?
That just floats around. Who, like, I guess he's real sometimes, or he's not. I don't get how it works, really. But that's the only reason I knew of his existence was because of Spider-Gwen.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so, we didn't even talk about Peter Porker, so I guess...
Well, to be honest, he was probably the one that they referenced the least.
Yeah, he seemed like he was just there to be the comedic relief.
Yeah.
Just kind of like...
And he was fine. I actually thought they were going to overuse him in the movie.
I'm glad they didn't, yeah.
They didn't. They had, like, I could name on my hand how many scenes he had. He had the scene where he gets introduced and he has, like, pie on his hand.
He had, like, wet stuff on his
hand. Yeah. The second time is when he shows them, like, they're all taking a crack at Miles. And,
they're, like, beating him up.
Right, and the fight sequence at the end, and then the part where he gives the mallet away.
Oh, yeah. That was a funny gag.
I think that was it. I think that was all the scenes with Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
He's Peter Porker?
Yeah. What does he say? He's like, here, take this mallet. It'll always fit in your pocket. Or it'll fit in, like, any one of your pockets. And I thought that was pretty
funny. And he goes,
funny.
like, what am I supposed to do with this?
That was pretty funny. But yeah, the end of the movie was pretty cool. I hate to say that I missed a bit of it because I had to go to the bathroom because I drank that whole thing of coffee in the theater.
That happens too.
And I had to go to the bathroom. What did you think of Kingpin's design?
I actually didn't like it.
I thought it was a bit ridiculous.
I got the choice, and it didn't bother me enough where I was like, that's stupid, I'm out. It was just more like they made a choice to make him look like that, and I was like, fine.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so impractical because, like, at certain points, you're just like, how the hell does he get in a car? How the hell does he fit through this building?
Yeah, exactly.
How the hell does he walk through regular doors?
I mean, that stuff didn't bother me as much because I was like, fuck it, it's a cartoon. They could if they honestly made like if they had like a special car that only he could sit in, that'd be fucking hilarious. But I was just kind of like, looks a little bit ridiculous for me. I do understand it's a cartoon, but it's just a little bit whatever.
Because that made him look, to be honest, it made him look like Groot from Despicable Me. Because like the way that they usually portray him is that he's just big, right? But it's like the thing is supposed to be that it's all muscle. The problem is here that they essentially gave him little tiny legs, and then they made his head kind of stick in the front of his body as opposed to on top. So he kind of just looked fat.
You're right. He did look more brutish than he did intelligent.
Right.
And it's like from us who watch Daredevil, it's like we know Fisk is not an idiot by any means.
He's the complete opposite.
Yeah, he is he thinks ahead like millions.
9 steps.
Yeah, he's fucking smart. So yeah, in that regard, I was a bit disappointed because even in this movie, he's just very like.
He's animalistic.
Yeah, it was just kind of.
But weird. I guess it's almost as forgivable because it's. Even in Daredevil, his weak spot is always Vanessa.
Yeah, his family. That's true.
Yeah, and the kid, right? So, I mean, I guess it makes sense that he's so animalistic, but he was definitely the weakest part of the movie for me.
Yeah. Okay. So what? Another gripe that I had with it, real quick. I mean, I guess in the long run, it didn't even really matter. But when the first Peter Parker finds Miles. He, like, senses that they're both alike or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I'm going to teach you the ropes. Just hang out with me. I'm going to teach you the ropes. And I was just kind of like, why the fuck would you just talk to this stranger? Like, okay, you're both Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but, like,
I was going to say.
It's like, you don't think there's villains out there that, like, what if he did that to Venom? He's going to fucking be best friends with Venom? Like, it just... Well,
that's a whole other can of worms. But I think it was more like he sensed that he had the same powers as him. And it was like, hey, let's try and help the kid. Okay. I think that was basically it. Not to mention, he thought he was a civilian.
Well, I was going to say, like, he fucking dies like a second later. So I was like, it's probably why they did all that. Because it's like, just get all the information you need out of this Parker before he dies, basically. So I was like, okay.
Which technically wasn't a lot.
Yeah, exactly. What was cool, though?
And he was blonde.
Okay, so because of that scene, right? So he's like, I'm going to teach you the ropes, whatever, right?
Right.
I thought that was really stupid, whatever. Then they introduced this other Peter Parker, and the way he teaches Miles how to do everything is just so cool. Because it's like, he doesn't want to. And he just kind of like follows him around. Like, that scene where they're just walking on the building, he was just like, he kind of just follows him. It's not even like he's trying to teach him to do that. He just, like, out of necessity has to follow him to wherever he's going. And because of that, like, he learns to use his, like, sticking powers more. And then...
You realize that those scenes are more for Peter B. Parker than they are for Miles, right?
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Because the whole motif for Peter, the second Peter... I'm just going to call him second Peter. The whole thing about second Peter is that the reason he's not with Gwen Stacy, and they made it Jane. Kind of Mary Jane. The reason he's not with Mary Jane is because she wanted kids, and he didn't want kids because he didn't think he was ready for kids. And so throughout this entire thing, he's trying to push the idea of kids away because he doesn't want to be responsible for Miles.
Yeah.
But throughout the entire thing, he does teach him without teaching him. So when he starts walking up and down the building, what's the first thing that Miles does? He tries to follow him.
Yeah.
So he's essentially teaching him how to stick.
And then it all kind of like comes to a close at that scene where he's like teaching him how to swing in the woods.
Right.
And he just flick your wrist out and then double tap to release and all this stuff, and it's like, it's cool. It felt really organic. It actually felt like what I wanted, like, as opposed to like that first scene with the first Peter Parker, and he's just like, just hang out with me, bro. I'm gonna teach you the ropes.
Oh, I know. Yeah. What I think stuck out to me the most, and this is something that I didn't it's like there's certain motifs that you want to carry throughout the movie.
Uh-huh.
So like Miles has second Peter tied up to like a punching bag.
Uh-huh.
And Peter's able to get away because he says, "You were supposed to be watching my hands."
Yeah.
But you're like, have him watch the mountain, not the hands, and he's able to escape because of it.
Uh-huh.
Same thing happens later on. He uses that same kind of technique on him. He's like, "Where's the USB?" And then Miles has it already. He's like, "You've been watching the hands when you watch the mouth, whatever."
Right.
Those feel like, oh, I got you, buddy. I know your tricks now. Because they're all essentially the same person.
Right.
So these traits are supposed to carry over. And then at the very end, before Miles was allowed to come on this big mission at the very end of the movie, he's like, "Get past me."
Yeah.
And then he trips him and then catches him like in the air. And Miles does the same thing to that Peter.
Yeah.
When he has to send him home because he's like, "You gotta trust me." And he's
like,
what am I? He's like, "How will I know if you didn't mess up?" He's like, "You're just gonna have to trust me." And he goes, "A leap of faith," which is how Miles was able to finally understand his own powers.
That scene was so cool. The one where he jumps off the building.
Which time? The first time or the second time?
The second time where he's in his suit. So Miles steals Spider-Man's suit but paints it all black and red with spray paint because he's a millennial and he uses spray paint. He expresses himself.
You okay?
Yeah. Okay. Look, real quick. I know it's like he's slightly artistic, right?
Right.
Because of that, like little trait, I was able to relate more to him. I was like, okay, it's cool. Like he's not all like super academic. Like he's naturally smart and he knows how to do things, but it was just kind of cool that I was like, oh, okay, he's an artist too, or he likes to express himself and stuff like that.
The sticker thing.
Yeah, like whatever. It's like
yeah.
You know, he wears Jordans, whatever. He's just a kid.
By the way, I totally want Jordans now because of that movie.
Fun fact, I went out the next day and bought Jordans, okay?
Not the specific ones that he
got. Not the ones from the movie, but I was just like, hey, those shoes look badass. Maybe I should go get some. Anyway, okay, so back to the movie. That one scene was just, it was really good just because it shows a lot of character. Like, so he tries it before. He tries to jump off a building and fails immediately. He breaks that USB thing. He completely fucks up.
Right.
There's a lot of scenes actually where Miles is just like, fuck this, and he just like he doesn't want to do it, which was really surprising to me.
By the way, just a sidestep on that, or like pause. When he falls off that first building, when he's laying there on the floor, the number 42 is sitting next to him.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Again, I don't know what that probably has something to do in the Miles Morales like universe. The number 42. I don't know because the Spider also had the number 42.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I mean, maybe that's it. But like, I love that they bring it up a couple different times.
But the way he's first of all, he's on the building, right?
Yeah.
Somehow his sticking powers are going through his Jordans into the building. I don't know how that works.
Sure.
But he's on the building, right? And you see him jump off, and he brings glass with him. Like he breaks
so
it.
Good.
So it's like at that moment you can tell that he was still hesitant to the very last second. You know, like he was still holding onto the building, like he didn't want to jump still, but he just ended up doing it. And then you get this really great scene of him falling, you know, and there's music playing, and then it kind of goes into the scene where like Aunt May's telling him like, oh, I built you like web shooters and stuff like that, and then he like fires them into the sky and they like barely latch on.
Finally catch.
Yeah, it's just such a fucking great scene. Like everything about that scene is so like. It's so important to the entire film. Like it's just basically what the movie was like building up to was like you finally get to see Miles like achieve his destiny basically.
What I like is that for most, I think people will agree for the most part, Spider-Man's always just kind of swinging. But Miles in his first interaction with second Peter, he tells him, "I'm better at running."
Yeah. So
this Peter is like running across buildings, and then he tends to land on top of the buildings and kind of parkours a little more than the other Spider-Mans. Which I thought that's funny because he had mentioned that earlier that he likes to run more. So it's like, oh, that's kind of like now become his trait. He's a Spider-Man that tends to run a little more.
Yeah.
On top and on the side of buildings.
But yeah, so I would highly recommend this movie. If you haven't noticed already, like just fucking go watch it, please.
I recommend you go watch it in the theaters because it's quite the experience. And dude, you're gonna just appreciate all the graphics a lot more with it up on the this huge screen.
Yeah, and apparently, take a kid with you because there was kids in there that fucking enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
I think don't bring any kids younger than 5.
Oh yeah,
it'll be fine.
I was gonna say too, there was a few scenes where like the humor didn't really take with me.
You didn't
but
like
I
when
completely ignored it. Like it was fine.
You don't like when Spider-Man Nora was looking at the Rubik's Cube and going like,
"Oh, like
it's
that.
purple."
I didn't like that.
No,
I
don't get this.
But like he was like, "Oh, and I was a Christmas album, right? That's fine. I don't care. That's funny." But he's like,
fine. But
he was like, and I was a subpar popsicle, and they show like a real photo of a popsicle, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, just animate the popsicle, or like a real like fucking gross picture from like fucking Snapchat or something. Like,
yeah, but they show the comic books in there as reality too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it kind of makes sense.
I was just kind of like, just take that out of the movie. Like, what the fuck, dude?
I don't know why they had it either, to be honest.
Yeah, that part was funny though, where the first Peter referenced like the parts in Spider-Man 3 where he's dancing.
Oh yeah, he's like, well, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, because it almost looked frame for frame exactly like the thing, the dances that he was doing in like.
You can't see it, but we're doing
the dances
we're doing the dances right now. So you can't see it.
Just imagine us just mocap us in those scenes. Mentally mocap us into those scenes.
Even does a little windmill thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just like in Spider-Man 3, the
critically acclaimed Spider-Man 3.
Critically acclaimed comedy. But yeah, what are your final thoughts, Ernie? Final thoughts on this podcast?
Well, final thoughts is for sure go see the Spider-Man Multiverse, Into the Spider-Verse, whatever it's called, because the more people go watch this, the more they'll make. Which I would be very, very happy to see a Spider-Man 2099 Miguel O'Hara just come back and do the whole thing, because, or if they decide to, if they're like, what we could do, we could take each one of those Spider-Mans and give them their own movie. Very much like they did with the Lego movie. They were like, people really love Batman. Let's just make a Lego Batman movie.
They hint at the end of the movie, right? Like Gwen is like, hey, Miles, you got a sec?
Yeah, where she's able to communicate with him.
So somehow she's able to go through universe. I don't know what the fuck, but
so go watch that.
Yeah,
please
go check out Macaulay Culkin's Google ad, please.
I would say just watch Home Alone, because it's still a movie that really holds up.
Yeah, you could still watch that.
It's terrible, but
you think it's terrible?
It's terrible in that the acting from Macaulay Culkin is like a little flat. And the whole story is so like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to talk shit on holiday classics or anything.
Yeah, because to be honest, my favorite holiday movie is terribly acted, and it's got just a weird like.
Which one? What are you talking about?
Jingle All the Way.
That's my favorite movie.
It's my favorite movie.
Okay, anyway, what I was gonna say is I never seen Hocus Pocus. And your wife was like, "Oh, this is a holiday
classic.
This is a Halloween classic, right?"
Yeah, it's a holiday.
And you guys put it on, and I was like, "That was probably the most mediocre movie I've ever seen in my goddamn life." But I understand that during the holidays, it's like great to have these movies on because they just fit the theme of everything so well.
And I think there's a bit of nostalgia.
And there's also nostalgia. It's a big part of it too. I get that.
But aside from that, I really just want to make sure everybody goes to watch this movie, because the more we watch it, you get to vote with your ticket.
I think it's at like 35 million right now.
Hope it goes to
which is like
100 million by the end of the week.
I hope it does a lot better too, because animated films. This is apparently like it did like the best in December in animated films ever done. I think there was some kind of weird statistic like that, something weird like that.
It's great.
Yeah, I want to get the book. I want to get the Art of Spider-Man Spider-Verse book.
Just for the color theory, to be honest, because that color theory was really great in there.
It's just a fucking brilliant movie, dude. Like, visuals are fucking ridiculous. Anyway, alright. You can find us on SoundCloud. Radio Toons Podcast.
For sure.
Radio Toons Podcast on iTunes.
Yes. You can find us there, and obviously you might be listening to this on YouTube. Also go there.
Radio Toons Podcast on YouTube.
And also don't forget we got the Play Tunes, which is, me and Steve playing a lot of common games that come out, new releases usually.
That's right. We're in the home stretch of Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah, I believe we finish it up on Friday.
Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't know. You're going to have to tune in to find out.
But you can definitely search Play Tunes. You can search us there. And then lastly, you can find Steven at Soho Shuffle on Twitter.
That's right.
And then you can find me at NeoErnie on Twitter.
Yeah.
Don't judge me for that name.
And when you watch Spider-Verse, tweet us the ticket.
Tweet us the ticket?
That's the stub.
Here's the stub. Here's the proof that I watched Spider-Man.
And then we'll send you back a little sunglasses guy emoji.
I'll just probably give a heart.
Yeah.
I'll just like it.
Yeah, we'll probably get one of the interns to tweet that out.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
No. That's it for this week, guys. See you next week.
See you next week, guys.